this video, I wanted to follow up on last week's video about how to master fast notes and share what I think would be Einstein's perspective on Fast Note Freakout.
My name is Josh Gu, and I'm taking my years of experience learning, teaching, and performing, and sharing all of my best clarinet and music tips so you can get more out of your practice, and most importantly, have fun. You can learn more about all of my many resources at QuickStartClarinet.com, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos.
First of all, if you haven't seen last week's video, then you should check that out. That was a really in-depth one on the neuroscience behind playing fast and how to have faster fingers. In this video, this is a little bit less in-depth, but I wanted to give what I think would be Einstein's perspective on Fast Note Freakout. So first of all, what is Fast Note Freakout? This is when we see a run of 30-second notes, or sometimes those crazy tuplets like 11 or 12 or 15, and just these quick runs, and we think, whoa, those are super crazy fast notes, so I'm just gonna sort of wiggle my fingers and hope for the best and get that sort of bleh, and it gets very mushy and not very clear and not very clean. And more often than not, we end up getting ahead of the beat and actually rushing too much because we're skipping over notes and not actually playing everything that's written there. Einstein has several theories of relativity, like that's what he's known for, right? And I will say that I'm not a physicist by any means, so I might get some of these things slightly wrong, but I think they'll still be applicable and interesting to your clarinet playing. But one of the special theories of relativity that Einstein came up with has to do with this idea of time dilation. And the way that time dilation works is if you're on a very fast-moving train, or more practically like in a space shuttle that's moving really quickly orbiting the Earth, then time moves differently for you compared to an observer. So let's use the train example for the sort of most simple version of it. One person on the train who's moving very quickly, from the perspective of a stationary person outside of the train, they'll actually perceive time slower. So the faster moving person will actually move slower from the perspective of the person on the ground. The perspective thing is the relative part, and where it gets really crazy and complicated, so we won't worry too much about that. But there is actually some really fascinating and really interesting experiments that have been done with this idea of time dilation. I think the most interesting one is that they took two twins, and one of the twins went and lived on the International Space Station for a year, while the other twin stayed on Earth. So the twin in space was moving very, very quickly, orbiting the Earth. And to them, on the space station, it didn't feel like they were moving super fast or anything crazy. Just like when you're on a train or a plane, even though you're going 200, 500 miles per hour, it doesn't feel like you're moving all that crazy fast when you're the one doing it. But in this experiment where there's a twin on Earth and a twin in space, after that year, the twin on Earth had actually aged more than the twin in space. And that proves the idea that the twin in space that was moving very fast was actually perceiving and experiencing time slower than the twin that was on Earth, which I think is absolutely fascinating and just so crazy and interesting. How this relates to clarinet playing and Fast Note Freakout is also very interesting, because when you have Fast Note Freakout, you're kind of like the twin on Earth or the observer who's looking at these fast notes and just thinking, oh gosh, they're going by so fast, like I can't comprehend those, I'm just gonna wiggle my fingers and hope for the best. And the notes are moving by super, super fast. In my experience, when I feel like I'm really nailing fast notes, even when they're crazy fast notes, I feel like I'm the one in the train or the one in the space station where time slows down. And more importantly, I don't feel like I'm moving crazy fast through those notes. I feel like I'm just deliberately and diligently playing each of those notes one at a time in a controlled, easy way. When I really know a piece well and did all that stuff I talked about in last week's video where it's really sunken in and I've myelinated those processes really effectively, it truly does feel like the fastest notes in the piece are similar in difficulty and I'm perceiving them in a similar way just as the slower notes in the piece. So I hope that gives you some interesting food for thought. All I wanted to do is make a short little follow-up video to last week's to sort of give this physics and Einstein perspective on how time works and how we can perceive time from different angles. So don't try to be like the observer seeing these notes going by at lightning speed. Instead, be like the person on the train who's slowly and just naturally moving through these, just like you are moving through anything else in normal everyday life, and trust that when you really know it and you really are in control, it will have that feeling as if time is slowing down for you. And from an outside observer, it'll definitely feel that way because you'll play things and people will think, oh my goodness, like how are you able to move your fingers that fast? Because to them, it's going by crazy fast. But to you, you have that advantage of perspective. You've done that learning and you're slowing time down and getting it just like any other note. So don't freak out when you see fast notes. Trust that when you develop the coordination and the confidence to go fast, you can still get it 100% correct and really nail every single note, as long as you don't freak out and start perceiving time faster and instead perceive the time more slowly. I'll also add the caveat that Einstein's theory of relativity stuff doesn't quite apply because we aren't quite moving our fingers anywhere close to the speed of light, which is where the relativity really starts to kick in. But in my experience, that is absolutely what it feels like. And I think we can experience that in the train situation where when you're standing watching a train, it looks like it's flying by really fast. But when you're on the train, it's not so fast. So think about that, apply it to your playing, see how it helps. Comment if you have any elaboration on this, if any of you are physicists watching this video, or musicians who've experienced this as well, because I do think it is a real thing and I've experienced it many times. Maybe it doesn't quite exactly follow Einstein's rules, but I think that would be Einstein's solution to Fast Note Freakout. So thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. And last but not least, a huge heartfelt thank you to the Dennersons. This is like the QuickStart Clarinet family who supports the channel and helps to make everything that I do possible. If you would like to support the channel and get some awesome rewards in return where we can work one-on-one over video and you can have my full support moving forward on your clarinet journey, then go to quickstartclarinet.com/supporter.